Hey everyone, good to have you here. My name is Andrew Bourget, Head of Customer Operations for ShipAngel. I appreciate you guys taking some time to join us for our 12th ShipAngel Live that we've done. We've spent a lot of time in the last couple months putting these together for you guys and showing you different ways to interact with the platform, utilize the platform. And so today we're going to go through some more pieces of the ShipAngel platform. Little housekeeping before we get going. If you guys have questions, please ask us questions in the chat. We really want to hear from you. We want to hear what you're interested in. We want to hear what you want to see. Additionally, we also want your feedback. If you guys have, positive thoughts on things, please let us know. We'd love to hear that. Ultimately, if anyone on this call is interested in ShipAngel, interested in seeing and hearing more about how we can potentially help you, we'd love to jump on another demo to give you a more robust view of the platform. Additionally, ultimately, we like to be a show, not tell organization. And so I'm going to show you the ShipAngel platform today, but we'd love to bring in your data, bring in your rates, your contracts from your transportation vendors, and let's show you how that looks inside the platform and get a good feel for it. I'm going to give it 1 or 2 more minutes or so here before we get rocking and rolling. But I appreciate you all taking some time. And again, if you have comments, questions, please ask. It's a great opportunity to get your questions answered. Or if you just want to reach out and say, hey, you guys look awesome. This looks great. We'd love hearing that as well. The title for our live today is Cutting Annual Freight Spends by 10%. And so that's a big phrase. And what I can tell you is we believe strongly in that we are able to save our current customers 10% on their international shipping. We do that through a number of factors. And I'm going to show you all of those different factors here in a minute. But all of these factors added up will save you 10%. We've done this calculation for many prospective customers and many of our current customers, and we do feel very confidently in these numbers. And so if you are interested in putting these numbers to the test, we'd love to reach out. We'd love to bring in some of your rates, go through the process, and we can show you just how these numbers add up ultimately in the end. Just gonna remove this from my screen and bring this over. And so what's really important with ShipAngel and what we have built today is we have solved what we believe is the biggest problem in international shipping when it comes to rates and processes. That is taking your contracts, your quotes, and all of the ways in which you get your rate data and presenting it in the form in which you distribute it to your organization. Traditionally, it's spreadsheets. Traditionally, it's a link on a one page somewhere. It's something that has to be manually updated. If you, the sourcing manager or procurement manager, do not update the rates, no one in the organization can utilize those new rates. In the environment that we're in 2025, as we go into 2026, this process should not be templatized. The fact that we've been able to build what is an industry-leading artificial intelligence model in-house under our own roof, not bringing in a third-party AI solution, but building something from scratch to be able to read and translate your shipping contracts, quotes, and rates is the way in which rate uploads should be. If you're filling out a template to upload your rates, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it in a way that in years and months ahead is going to be broken because it ultimately ends up on you, the user, to be able to do that. We have solved that. All you have to do is negotiate your rates, send them to ShipAngel. We will process them and we put them in the platform for you. And we do that within 24 hours. And so we have a KPI with all of our customers that we will deliver these rate uploads within 24 hours. The timeline in which we're actually producing these results across all of our customer base for multiple thousands of rate uploads a month is actually under 21 hours. We're doing it just over 20 hours in terms of the timeline. The median value, where the middle point of the data sits, is actually single digits. And so what you're going to get is a system that ultimately saves you time. And this is the foundation of our ROI calculation, is time. The 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a month that you're spending just translating shipping rates into another system or format to then present to larger teams is going to bring you a cost savings, because you can take that time and now go fight better battles. Stop fighting with data and start making some decisions in situations that your business can benefit from. So this is the first place that we benefit our customers, is around this translation of the shipping documents in quotes and rates to get them inside the ShipAngel platform. Once rates are inside the ShipAngel platform, this is where the power of a system that lives on top of your rates can start to bring value. Your teams globally now have access 24/7, 365, whether they're sitting at their desk in their office or when they're on the go. We've built this to be mobile ready. And so from a web browser on your computer or a web browser on your phone or your tablet, or however you connect to the internet, all you need to do to get your rates is go to app.shipangel.com and log in, and you're going to have access to these 24/7. What's useful here is this is now one platform for you to manage your rates. So if you're a sourcing or procurement person, you can now look at your rates and see what are your rates on your different lanes. What I always say here, the important way to look at this is you no longer are just looking at your rates in a list. You no longer are looking at your rates that are stored in one place. You're now understanding, what do my rates mean? And so to get you an idea of this, I'm going to put in Shanghai to Los Angeles, and I'm going to click search. From here, I can now see all the results that I have as a business on these lanes. In this scenario, I have one result, and that's a DSV quote from Shanghai to Los Angeles. This rate card now tells me what my total cost is. It tells me in general my rate is on an upward trend that I can see here by the little arrow and the information that pops up when I hover. Additionally, you can see the chart here on the right where my rate in green has trended over time. It's generally on the way up. Additionally, you get access to surcharge data. What is the surcharges? What are the specific values of my rates in my system? And what's useful is I can now search by time. I can go back 6 weeks, 6 months, and see what my rates used to be. I can also go forward in time to see what rates do I have filed potentially into December. This is all presented to you in the business because of that artificial intelligence upload process. You now get utilize this system to bring information to you. And when I say understand what your rates mean, this is the second pillar of our ROI calculation on how we're going to save you 10%. And that you are now getting access to your rates layered in with third-party data. And so the first place we do that is around transit time. And so this transit time, what we're seeing is a 13-day transit time versus an 18-day. When I hover over this 18, you'll see that this data is provided by ShipAngel from a third party to tell you if you were to ship Shanghai to Los Angeles, this 13-day transit is probably unlikely, because what we're doing is looking at the market on this lane and getting an idea of what are the potential schedules that you could actually sail on to be able to move this cargo, to tell you, is your rate for DSV on this lane, is it slow or is it fast? And this is an important thing to be able to differentiate, because if you're making a decision on moving cargo and hey, I got to have it here by December 1st or I'm in trouble, thinking it's a 13-day transit, you might go, well, it'll be here. If I can get this out next week, it takes 13 days. Hey, maybe this will be here by the 2nd or 3rd, in time potentially to sell something for Christmas. In reality, this transit time is closer to 18 days, which is more than 2 weeks. And so that difference of a week from 13 days to 18 days could make or break your supply chain. We're going to ensure you make a better decision on your shipments to be able to save money. Ultimately, this calculation here of transit time is very valuable if you're working in an environment where you only have a very small margin of lead time. In addition, we also bring in CO2 data as another place we bring in third-party data. CO2 for some is not important. CO2 usually doesn't save you on a cost basis at the end of the day, but what it allows you to do is continually make better decisions. Am I making the right decision with the right provider that helps either my cost, or in the case of CO2, it helps maybe my ESG goals that my company might have. The third place we bring in third-party data is around the idea of market benchmarks. And this is where you can potentially really get visibility into whether your rates and what they mean. By looking at this chart on the right, I can zoom in and I can see my rate in green versus the market rate in blue. And so I can look at this for 6 months, I can look at this for 3 months, and I get an idea, how has my rate trended over this time period and how has the market trended over this time period. What's useful here is the validity of this rate is only from the 16th of November to the end of November. The system is going to automatically recognize that as a short-term rate because of the validity. And what you're seeing here is an apples to apples comparison, my rate versus the market for rates of my kind. In this case, it's a short-term rate. And what we can tell you is based on your rate today on November 19th at 2337 all in, you actually have a slightly better rate than the market. The market is 4% higher. That's fantastic information. Additionally, what's useful is I can go back to where my rate was in different time periods, and you can start to see how that rate compared to the market exactly. And so for a while here, if I go back even into October, we can see this rate was significantly higher than the market, 73% in some cases. Back in early October, we kind of hit a low on the Trans-Pacific market, and you can see rates were about $1,000. Since then, rates have come up. And in this scenario here, we're looking at the market rate is now somewhere between 2,400 and 2,500. What's important is we also bring in future data for you. And so what I can tell you is that as of the end of October, or excuse me, the end of November, the market is down to about $1,800, $1,900, which in comparison to where your rate is about a quarter of a quarter percent lower. You and your team now can make better decisions on total cost. You can make better decisions on transit time to prevent increased costs or a factory slowdown. And you can ensure the rate you're using is competitive or not. If I go back out to this carrier, this provider, DSV, and I say, look, I want to book some cargo with you, but you need to lower your rate a little bit. You can go back and say, look, give me a $1,900 rate. And then quickly you can say, hey, I'm going to save $400 by getting that rate back. That $400 off one shipment is fantastic. $100 off of 100 shipments can save you a significantly more amount of money than you probably planned on saving the business. That money can then be either put up on your annual review period to go to your boss and say, hey, look at the money we've saved, but also that's going to save money to allow you to take that money and put it somewhere else in your business. What's useful is this is the ocean section of ShipAngel. We also have an air freight section. Inside the air freight section, you can do that same search. You can search a from and a to, and in there you can get an understanding of what is my rate on the comparison to my other providers. And so in this Bangkok to Los Angeles search, we can see the different rates that I have at these different weight brackets at the bottom of this rate card. In addition, I can also put in a specific chargeable weight. Say I know I'm going to ship 2,001 kilos. I could type 2,001 kilos here. And what I'm going to be able to do is also be able to see how do my rates compare against each other. And so how does SEVA versus DSV look? In this scenario, DSV is almost half the price or more than half the price. My math isn't always great, but give or take, it's considerably less when we look at the cost at 2,001 chargeable kilos. What's useful here is we're going to get that cost down to a penny. And so I go into the surcharge section here. You can see the different categories. I can see what my pure air freight costs are. I can see what my origin or destination costs are, should I have origin or destination costs visible. Ultimately, the system is able to tell me, hey, at 2,000 kilos in this weight bracket, you're going to see a total cost of $25,112.55. To the penny, you're going to now be able to accrue and say, this is what the shipment's going to cost us. If you were a procurement manager, we also then give you that ability to look at the rate data and understand, am I competitive or not? And so by coming into the chart here and switching over to that 1,500 kilo weight break that we were looking at earlier, we can also see how does we don't have market data for that land. Let me go to 1,000. What we can tell you is now at the 1,000 kilo weight break, how does my rate compare to the market rate? And so in this scenario, we're significantly higher than where the market is. This rate is not competitive. Number one, you have a lower rate with DSV. But number two, this rate on its own is significantly higher on a cost per kilo basis than what the market rate is. When I come down to this DSV rate and I switch over to that same 1,000 kilo weight bracket, we now see not only is DSV more competitive on this rate in this lane, they're also more competitive against the market. And so you can be rest assured when you make the decision to utilize DSV on this, you're not just making the right decision based on your providers, you're also making the right decision to say, hey, plus or minus, I'm really close to the market average. And that means I'm going to be competitive when I make a booking and I move my cargo. My competition doesn't have significantly better rates than I do. This is going to save a business time because you can now come in here and search your rates, look at your rates and compare this against other data, but you can also make better decisions to save you money. What's useful here is not only do we have air freight and ocean freight, but we also have the idea of LCL inside of ocean freight. And so I'm going to go back to the ocean section and I'm going to click search under an LCL search. And what we can see here on the screen is the ability to see your less than container load rate. Maybe I want to move specifically, let's just say 500 kilos, and I'm going to move 4 CBMs. Ultimately, what that means for me now is I'm looking at a $996 cost. I can budget out a move and know exactly how much it's going to cost me, or I can start to understand, are my rates competitive based on my providers? What are my rates on my lanes? What were my rates on my lanes searching in time? This is super useful for organizations that are trying to price out what modality should I even use. One person could come in very quickly, search a lane inside of ocean, search a lane inside of air freight, and very quickly they know whether they should be shipping air freight or they should be shipping ocean freight. It's that sort of palletized cargo that you can now bring that data in here and make sure you're making the right choice. It's not always about having a full container load. In some cases, you need to kind of break things down into their smaller units to say, what's it going to cost me? Or what's the transit time look like? I know that, hey, if I'm shipping 500 kilos and it's going to cost me $1,000 on ocean, maybe on this same lane, it doesn't cost me $1,000. It's going to be 3, 4, 8,000 for air freight, but my transit time is going to be measured in less than a week. These are the kind of trade-offs that you can get visibility to inside the ShipAngel platform that is tough to do in an Excel document and extremely tough to do when rates are stored in an email or a system that isn't able to really truly tell you what your rates mean. What's also useful is ShipAngel has brought in the idea of artificial intelligence, not just in our rate upload process, but we also give you access to that same model that we're using to manage your rates. You can also start to search your data and understand what are my rates on my various lanes. And what we find this is super useful when we start looking at companies that have traders and salespeople across the organization. And so think I log into ShipAngel and I say, I want to move 2 20-foot boxes from Shanghai to, we'll call it Antwerp. Who should I book with? You can ask general questions. I need help. Who do I book with? I get 2 20-foot boxes, Shanghai to Antwerp. And the system's going to go, it's going to look at your rates, and it's going to be able to come back and give you an answer to say, hey, based on the different parameters, based on the information that we have access to, here's who you should be booking with. And it's going to give you some options. First option is CMA. Based on the total price, it's telling me this is your most competitive option. For 2 containers, you're going to spend $28.56. The system can answer questions like this for you without you having to go search. It's not that the search is too hard, but maybe you just want to ask a question and very quickly get an answer. Additionally, I don't know how many people on this call do this often, but I personally use the voice to text a lot when I'm working, whether that be working on reports, working on emails, but you can even come in here and say, what is my fastest rate from Shanghai to New York City? in the time it takes me to press a few buttons and talk, I can hopefully get the system working for me to try to generate an answer. In this scenario, your fastest route here is a 27-day transit with DSV. And so again, you can ask the system questions, you can utilize the power of artificial intelligence to get those answers, or you can come into the tool, you can click search, you can put in origins and destinations, and you can find answers. Ultimately, what's really valuable with the ShipAngel platform is our ability to give you and your organization access to all of your rates. But that's only a piece of the entire cycle or life cycle of a rate. And so the life cycle of a rate really starts with procuring that rate. It then moves on to managing and understanding what the rate is. And then it progresses into execution of that rate. Can I book that rate? I'm not going to show you the functionality inside of ShipAngel today around bookings, but we do have the functionality to initiate bookings, start that process with our API powered booking execution platform that is assisted by Maddie, our AI assistant. Additionally, once that booking process is done, we also have the ability to allow you to sort of audit those invoices. And that's where I'm going to spend the next 5 or 6 minutes is inside our invoice audit functionality. This lives in one system. And so the system that reads your rates, books your cargo, and manages your invoices and understands whether you're being charged correctly all lives in one system. And it's very easy to upload rates. Your team can come in, you can upload your rates en masse, or you can upload your rates, once a month or however they're received. What I'm going to do here is quickly upload an invoice. While I'm showing you the rest of the invoice audit functionality, we're going to see this invoice get audited in real time. What's useful is we're going to give you that access to that invoice. You can always come in, you can download the invoice, you can look at the invoice and understand, hey, what we charged on these lanes, etc. The AI is going to what we call parse all of that information from the invoice. We're going to pull out invoice number, vendor, origin, destination, the date in which this shipment was priced at. Ultimately, what we're going to do is give you a picture of, was this shipment priced correctly or was this shipment priced incorrectly? And what that allows you to do is say, do I need to pay attention to this invoice or not? In this scenario, what we expected you to get billed matched what your invoice was billed. What this is going to allow you to do is, I don't need to look at this invoice now. And so imagine you upload 100 invoices and the invoices go through the system. And then you're presented with, hey, there's 80 of them that are correct. I no longer need to action those 80. I simply look at them and say, hey, you know what? The rates matched. I'm good. I could select all the ones that matched and I could export a report and I could send this off to my accounts payable team. What that means is your accounts payable team no longer has to check the invoices. They don't know your rate data. As much as the financial part of your institution believes that they know your costs and know your information, they don't know whether the bunker charge is right or wrong. They don't know whether a security charge from Hapag-Lloyd on a Shanghai to Antwerp lane is correct or not. But you as the rate manager do, but also so does the rate management system and the AI that we have trained to be able to read invoices. Ultimately, what you're going to be able to get is the ability to see your rates and understand what they mean, and then be able to review those rates inside the invoice audit functionality. Additionally, is once this rate goes through this process, and cool, you'll see here now the invoice here is progressing through. Here's where the power of invoice audit is useful. I now know where I need to spend my time, where I need to put effort in to get invoices fixed. So this invoice that went through was marked as a discrepancy. And so as I scroll down here, what we can see, the discrepancy was around the basic ocean freight. The expected value was $2,500. The value on this invoice that was processed was put in at 2612. And so this is incorrect based on the time of this shipment. The rates that we had in our system don't match. And so it's a flag for you, the user, to, hey, take a look at this one. See if this is correct or not. Pull up the invoice. Decide, you know what, this is wrong. I do need to go back to CMA and I need to push them to give me an updated invoice or explain why is this shipment incorrect. In some cases, there might be a reason. Maybe you get a bill of lading amendment fee. Maybe they charge you a change of destination fee on an invoice. All of that could be valid reasons for an overcharge. And what we've allowed this system to do is when you're overcharged or undercharged, but you want to accept that invoice. When you're undercharged, it's easy to want to accept an invoice. But when you're overcharged, you maybe want to push back on the carrier. Maybe they tell you, tough luck, you're going to have to pay that invoice. And you say, fine, it's $112. It doesn't break my bank. I'll pay it. What we can also do here is accept the discrepancy. We can mark this now as accepted, meaning an invoice came in, it was wrong. We fought the carrier on this. The carrier ultimately said, no, it's correctly billed. We can now process this as accepted. We're still going to show that it was off, but then you can take these invoices and you can, again, present them to your AP team to say, hey, time to pay this. These are accepted or to be paid. That workflow is different for every organization. Some organizations won't accept something if it's different by $1. Some organizations say, look, if it's different by more than $5 or 5%, I'm going to review it. Some say, I don't care unless it's over $150, $200, $300, $1,000. Whatever your parameters are, we can design the invoice audit functionality for you in the configuration onboarding stage so that invoices are flagged and they work within your business rules. This is super valuable for people. Additionally, is the ability to get access to this export report, because now I can see at a line item level, what am I spending? What are my costs? And so I argue that there's a difference between what my rates and my prices are versus my costs. Costs are what you actually get billed. And you can see on an exported file, where are my costs? And also what surcharges am I being billed? Maybe you're getting a telex release fee. Maybe you're getting 100 of these a month. Maybe you want to look at them and go, we're getting 100 telex release fees. They're $50 a piece maybe, but why are we getting these telex fees? Why is this consistently showing up? And is there a way for us to avoid this to potentially save us some more time, but definitely save you some more money? And so utilizing the different aspects of the ShipAngel platform, you are going to save money. That I can tell you for sure. If you think that I am incorrect and that we can't save you money, I humbly ask you, let's talk about it. Let's bring your rates into the ShipAngel platform. Let's show you what your rate card might look like on any given lane. And let's say, hey, what would my rate look like versus what your system could show it? And we can process that and give you guys access to that. There's a lot more bells and whistles here in the ShipAngel platform. This is our 12th live that we have done. If you want to go back and check out some of the previous live demos we've done, you can see some of the other functionalities, specifically around my routes. There's a dashboard functionality. We also have the ability to sort of manage the flow of rate sheets into your application. And so you might want to look at the rate sheets and utilize a sort of negotiation layer before rates get active in your platform so that you can look at this and say, hey, CMA gave me a new rate, but it's an increase of $46 on this lane. It's not what we negotiated. We expected a decrease. There's a lot of other functionality here in the platform that you can make use of. But in terms of the places that we're going to save you money, it's around time, it's around making better decisions, and it's around negotiating better. You're going to negotiate better rates, whether you have a rate or you even don't have a rate. I don't have a rate on a lane. I can now go out and get a rate. And when I get that rate, I can go back to the carrier and say, you gave me $3,000 all in. The market's closer to $1,500. Please make your rate quote a little bit better. And then I could potentially use you. A lot of cool features that I can show you guys inside the platform. If anyone has any questions, please reach out. My name is Andrew. My email address is andrew@shipangel.com. Not terribly hard to remember, but we'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to understand what questions you have. We'd love to understand what thoughts you have about the ShipAngel platform. Ultimately, let's talk. Let's get your data in here and let's see what it looks like. I hope you all have a great day. If anyone has any questions after this, or if you're watching the recording here, I'd love for you to reach out and additionally check in, and we'd love to talk. Thanks, everyone. Have a great Wednesday.